Great. So I have today Brad Martin with Atlas Action. Brad, you made a course called 101 Intro to Stunts. What is this course?
Yeah, hey, so 101 Intro to Stunts is basically exactly that. If I'm going from college courses 101, it's entry level information. It's talking about if you have any interest in getting into the stunt work in the movie industry, this tells you everything you need to know about getting started from A to Z.
That's cool. So what made you want to make this course? What, like, from the origin of this?
Well, my passion for teaching came from about 15 years ago when I saw that there was a lack of filmmakers in the movie industry. I grew up with a strong schooling for film school within working and learning at the same time, on the job training, and I've just have noticed in the last 15 years that people are not as informed as they used to be. So I've kind of taken it upon myself now to bring that information back to the community, and I want to teach people about stunts. I want to teach people about the techniques and the foundation and the history of stunts, just to bring back the history again. And I think that in turn, that's going to make people better stunt people as well.
Cool. Anything about like 101 that made, like, why not teach anything else? What's it about like 101 that you felt was necessary?
Yeah, well, I started creating these classes from the beginning up. So I did these. This whole Atlas action is for me. For me, 30 years ago, if I rolled into LA and I didn't know anything about stunts, or if I was even just thinking about doing stunts and not in LA, what would I do? So I would log on to Atlas Action and watch. If I had 101 to guide me through my first year of stunts, it would have helped me massively. I would have bypassed so much hardship and trials. Yeah, I made 101 for me 30 years ago, something that I wish I would have had when I started out. This is like I said, an A to Z on getting into the business, and it's going to tell you everything that you need to know to do so. And so, yeah, this is, I had a passion for this because I know how hard this information is to gather. And I know that there's no one place where you can go to get this information. So I'm compiling it all here for you guys today.
And who would you say this course is for? Like, it's 101, so obviously it's for people on like their first day or their first year. Who's thinking about taking this?
Well, 101 is a class that everybody should at least know all of the information within it. So if you're a performer and you've been in the business 10 years, I would imagine you could probably bypass 101. The information in 101 is a progression um, to later information that you're going to be receiving as if you go through these courses 110 and 120 and three all the way up to 301, which is our coordinators course. And this is for everybody. This is for the stunt enthusiast that wants to have all the information. What I've tried to do here with all of my Atlas videos is I'm trying to give the world all of the information that I've gathered over my 30 years in the business, and I'm trying to hand it to all of you. To elaborate on 101 again, yeah, this is 101 specifically is entry level stunts. It is going to teach you everything that you need to know, um, getting your foot in the door. What do you need to try to find work? What kind of skills that you need? And then we have a 102 as well, which we're going to specifically train you on the skills that you need to learn to step on set. And then we talk about set etiquette and things that are expected of you as a stunt person. And it's basically just a head start and a way to get yourself in the business without having to um, pound the pavement and knock on doors and cold call people. This is basically a roadmap for you to get into your career quickly.
Like a shortcut for any kind of like you people can stumble through their career, but this is sort of like your playbook and what you think works for anyone these days.
Yeah, and one of the things that I say about my methods for getting in the business is that I don't know all the ways to get into the business, but I definitely know a way. I started from nothing. I moved to LA. I didn't know anybody, and through just sheer determination and working my butt off, I climbed the ladder and figured out the way in. So I'm giving you guys a roadmap, one at least one way that I know works for sure.
Cool. Well, I'll pull up your webpage and we can sort of look through what you've got. So this is Atlas Action, and you've got a bunch of courses, and then 101 is here. Let's look at what this says about all the videos. So you've got 4 weeks of classes. Week one is all about stunts. Week two is first steps. Week three, gaining momentum, and then week four, networking. So these are the four things you think are really valuable. Let's dive into that too. And I see that I saw these videos that you can watch these videos before you're before paying for that stuff. Yeah, what's the how does this course start?
Yeah, so I mean, as far as all about stunts and what we're talking about is, I just wanted to give everybody just a basic understanding of what we're talking about here. So if you're interested in being in stunts, I'm sure people have had the thought, but they don't really know what that entails. So we're going to break that all down for
Mhm.
you. We talk about the myths, the things that you believe to be true that aren't necessarily true. Like for instance, stunt people get hurt all the time. Well, that's just not true. We're a profession where we practice and we train and we rehearse and we do everything as safe as possible. So getting injured is very rare on our job, for an example. Um, as far as other things that we talk about in that first set is like, what are all the different types of stunt jobs that you can have? There's being a stunt double, there's being somebody on a fight team, there's being a rigger, there's water safety, there's fight coordinating. Um, there's people who shoot videos and edit previses, which are like the the first iteration of your scene that you want to shoot on film. You shoot it on video and you give it to the director, and if they like it, we're gonna replicate that exactly the way that we shot it.
What I'm seeing is like what is the job, and then I'm seeing a lot of like job descriptions, and these are pretty long explanations of. I mean, the sort of previews. Someone could talk about what a rigger does for hours, but this is a good like overview if you're not sure what these jobs are. You've just heard of
Yeah,
them.
and then the reason, and just based on what you're saying right there, it's kind of a long explanation. It's a long explanation because there's a lot to these jobs, and there's a lot of information there that you guys need to have, and just to know for the performers out there, for the people that want to be stunt players, not necessarily performers. There's a lot of other jobs like that we just mentioned. There's assisting as well, and there's doing previses and fight coordinating and things like that. So you don't always have to be in front of the camera. So these descriptions are long because they tell you all the ways in which we work as stunt players behind the scenes.
Hmm. That's cool. All right, and then going into week two. Week two is your first steps. I see something called the Atlas Method and what you need to focus on. What is the Atlas Method?
The Atlas method is 8 bullet points that we've kind of set aside to be markers for people's performance. Um, we have agility, acting, fighting, driving, work ethic, filmmaking, stunt knowledge, and toughness. And now we've broken those down into one. Half of those are physical skills, half of those are mental skills, and basically, it's just what you need to be well-rounded as a stunt performer.
I see something about all expected abilities. That makes sense. What you need in like a stunt in your pad bag and headshots. A lot of like this stuff that people have heard, right? Like you can Google like what a headshot should look like, but I see that you're giving like a perspective on this.
Yeah, and it's all in one spot as well. So I mean, this is step by step the things that a performer would need to do to get into the business. So you need all of this stuff. So we go, like I said, and again, like um what do I need in a stunt pad bag is almost 3 minutes long. I mean, there's a lot to it. There's a lot of different pads, a lot of different things that you need to consider when you're on the job. So a lot of things that you need to just have in your bag to be ready.
I see one here that says the essence of humility in stunts. What does
Uh,
that mean?
so so actually, I was just hanging out with my buddy Eddie Braun a couple of weeks ago, and he, throughout this year, I've been making a huge point to say that ego will kill you. Ego kills, and you don't want to have ego. You don't want to have attitude. And Eddie Braun said, "Ego is not your amigo." So I thought that was a pretty good way to put it into words there and just keep it short and sweet. So that's basically what that is: coming on the set with no ego, with listening, eyes open, ears open, mouth closed, and just doing what you're told and trying to learn as much as you can.
Let's look at week three. Week three is talking about gaining momentum, and I see like how to budget and like your journey, the challenges of like physical, mental, and administrative stuff that you're gonna have to do as a stunt performer, which makes a lot of sense. Um,
I mean, there's a lot more to getting started than just headshots and resumes and basic skills as well. So that's what this is: gaining momentum. As you get going, as you start getting on track and getting everything aligned and knowing what your path is and seeing what you need to do. Now, these are some other steps. You set these things that you can do to add to that training, to add to your depth as a stunt performer. Um, and to add to your future. I mean, we're all at the end of the day, everybody who's becoming a stunt performer is looking for a profession, looking for a career, looking to make money.
I see the workbook that you shared, which looks like it's all about like setting goals and getting almost like a progress tracker for every day, along with like a budget guide, which looks like this all goes along with week three.
Yeah. So as far as like goals and budgets and things like that, these are things that I didn't consider prior to needing it, but once I was in the mode, I realized that I needed it. Like I needed to write down goals. I needed to make budgets for things like that. So I'm just passing on this information to all of you out there. Um, uh, like for instance, I made goals for my first 20 years in the business when I first moved to LA. And I wrote them all down and I exceeded them before my timeline. And I think that's just sheer just manifesting and
What were
diligence.
your what kind of goals? Or did you
So
set these right off the bat?
I set my goals when I was still so within the first year of moving to LA. I would have to imagine that it was within the first 4 to 6 months. And I don't know if it was like inspired like by my dad or somebody saying, "Hey, write down your goals." I don't know if I heard it from somewhere else, but anyway, I knew that I needed these goals, and I just decided to make them. I wrote them down just to try to manifest it and see how it goes. But I definitely put all of my energy towards these goals as well. So the first one was like I want to be stunt doubling a lead by after 5 years in the business. I want to be stunt coordinating a studio movie by the time I'm 30. I want to be second unit directing a studio movie by the time I'm 35. So just those are like three like small ones, but I think I probably had like 10 or 15 goals on there. I forget them all now, and I unfortunately I can't find the piece of paper. I wish I could.
We'll take your word for it. I think you've done okay. um, week four is all about networking and like the value that you see in networking.
Yeah, so I mean, networking, this is the same as I think any other business. It's not what you know, it's who you know. I mean, in our business, it's absolutely what you know, but getting your foot in the door and getting those opportunities is definitely who you know. So networking is a huge part of it. Going back to my journey when I first started, networking was definitely not my strong suit. It was something that I disliked a lot. Um, but I forced myself. I knew it was all part of the game, so I told myself that I wasn't going to let it affect me emotionally. That was just something that I was going to do in my life. Back in the day, back in the '90s, which doesn't happen so much anymore, but we used to be able to drive to movie sets and go hustle people. Hustling is when you go meet the stunt coordinator and you give them your resume and you say, "Hey, I'm so and so, and I'm trying to get into stunts." They know why you're there, and so I just had to train myself to get good at it. And I don't know if I ever really did get good at it, but I just made myself keep doing it. And I think I think that's super important for all of you is your skills and finding work. That's all you need to do.
Cool. So that is your 4 week class. And this is like the page with all the info on it that I'm seeing as like a sample lesson. And you've got 3 hours of information. How long did you work on making this course?
I mean, as far as this particular course, I would imagine, I mean, well, let me back up. We've been working on Atlas Action for a couple of years now, and I've been having thoughts of running a school like Atlas for 10 years. So these thoughts have been in my head for some time. As far as 101 goes, this was just something that I felt like as we started getting into what this whole um, what this whole massive information is all about, we had to figure out like what we were going to teach. And so obviously starting from the beginning is probably the best. So I wanted to start everybody off from where I started off with, from knowing nothing and working our way up. So as I said before, like we'll go all the way up, and we don't have the class online yet, but at some point we're going to have a second unit directing class, but we have a stunt coordinating class as well. So we're going to take you from being a complete neophyte to an expert.
I saw, we didn't talk about it, but I saw along the way that you had homework for everybody who's going through this. Like, what made you want to add homework, right? Like,
No, so the reason why we're doing homework too is that we want people to learn. We want people to um, digest this information and be able to use it for themselves. So the best way to do that is if we have people learn it and we test them on it and we know that they've learned it. And so I want to make sure that you guys know the information when I send you guys off into the world and you're out talking to other stunt coordinators and talking about things that I've spoken about. I want to make sure that you guys know that, because I don't want to be misrepresented either. And this business is at the end of the day, even though it's not dangerous like I spoke about before, there is an element of danger if you don't pay attention, if you don't rehearse, if you don't know what you're doing. If you know what you're doing and you follow everything and you go by the books, you're more than likely 99.9% sure you're not going to get hurt. But the minute you start going off script, that's where problems can happen. And so I'm just trying to make sure that we can keep everybody safe in the business.